let's start today's webinar. And the webinar is about the general advertiser setup and also the Postback setup. This is the dashboard when you log into Everflow. And if you click on in the bottom left corner, you can open left side menu. So today's session, we're going to focus down on the advertiser side. If you click on Advertiser Manage, you will see a list of advertisers that you are working with, or if you want to add new advertisers, you would also add in this session. So this applies to both if you are the advertiser yourself, then you would add yourself as the advertiser and you would work with potential partners. Or if you are a publisher and you want to work with different advertisers, you can add them in the advertiser session. Here would be an overview on all your advertisers. Normally, you can either add advertiser via the Advertiser Manage and click on Add Advertisers. Then you would go through all the steps to add a new advertiser. And I'm just going to pick up one advertiser and walk you through the fields. So I click on Advertiser and add it. So what you have first is that you would give a name of the advertiser. So it can be Amazon or any advertisers that you are working with. There are 3 different status. The advertiser can be active, inactive, or suspended. Normally, we suggest you to keep the status active, and that's also the default. The inactive and suspended status will mean all the offers that are related to these advertisers, the clicks will be invalid. So be careful with that. You can put an advertiser manager here, and you can select one of your employees within your organization, and you can put a default currency here. The default currency will be when the advertiser view the reporting, what currency will be displayed for them. You can also include a sales manager, but that's not mandatory. All the fields with little red stars are mandatory fields. Just like the offer, you can also put a label to your advertiser. If you are working with multiple advertisers, this would be recommended. It just helps you to filter different advertisers later on. So you just put in label and you get plus return. You can create as many labels as you would like to. Labels are only external. So if you are the Everflow client, you can see the labels. Your advertisers and your partners are not able to see that. We also have verification token. Basically, it is an extra security when you work with the advertisers or when you work with partners. You can include this verification token in the postback or script that you send to your advertiser to implement, or you implement yourself. It's an extra layer that we provide you for preventing the fraud. There are 2 attribution methods. The last touch is default, but we allowed you to use first touch attribution as well. There are attributions on the offer level, but the advertiser attribution will override the offer level attribution. So making sure that you set the attribution method on the advertiser level correctly as well. And the same for the email attribution method. We allow first and last. The next one is that if you want, we allowed you to enable extra values to be exposed to your advertiser. So if your advertiser log into Everflow account, they can see what are the values passed from your publishers through sub1 or source ID or other information that you want to expose to your advertiser. You can also turn that off. Internal notes basically is anything that for your internal to use any information that you can put it here. So that's the general session of the advertiser setup. The second part is the address. If you have a specific address that you would like to put in here for your advertiser, you can insert here. The address will also be used if you would like to generate invoice for your advertisers. So the address will be displayed on the invoice that you would like to generate in Everflow for your advertiser. The billing session is if you would like to generate invoice for your advertisers, then you can also enable the billing session here. It can be, you can choose to generate on weekly, monthly, or other frequency. If there's other information that is needed, you can put it here. You can also choose to generate, to have the invoice automatically generated. So you can choose, okay, I want to auto invoice to start on this date. And if you want an invoice generation to be delayed by 10 days, so that means you set on the first of, so let's put a frequency, let's say monthly. Every first day of the month, the invoice should be generated. But if you put a 10 days delay, that means only on the 11th, the invoice will be generated for the previous month. You can also set up a threshold. So only the invoice will only be generated if the amount is more than $100, for example. And the next part is the enable payment terms. So if you have net 7 or any customer payment terms, you can put it here as well. You can also choose to hide the invoice for your advertisers. That means that you can generate for your internal purpose and your finance team can see it, and they might use a different method to send invoice to your advertisers. So you don't want your advertisers to see in the Everflow platform. Additional information is anything related to your advertiser you would like to put it here. You can put it under additional information. So that would be the steps that you go through when you create a new advertisers. Once it's created, you will be returned to this overview, and you can see what are the billing information, what are the statistics, if there's any additional information and such. You also can find advertiser postback in the general session as well. So before we go to the postback, I just want to share a little bit more information on what you can see on the advertiser overview page. If you click next, you will be able to create advertiser level events. We can create an event together. Let's say add to cart, for example, and let's then leave the status as active. Okay, now we create advertiser level events for add to cart. You want to track this event in your Everflow account. And this event will be across all your offers that you created for this specific advertiser. In this case, is Amazon. So let's go back to advertiser, Amazon. And let's check. There are 3 offers already created for this advertiser, Amazon. Let's pick one, this one, for example. And in the offer overview page, you have the revenue and payouts. So let's go to the revenue and payout. So the base one is you want the registration. But let's say we want to add another event called add to cart. And we want to use advertiser level events. We choose add to cart that we just created. We make it public and such. Say revenue 10, payout 2. So the add to cart event is no longer offer level event. It is advertiser level event. What does that mean? Is that for this specific add to cart event, you can just pull a advertiser level event. You can see here, instead of event ID, normally is the offer level event, you will see ADV underscore event underscore ID. That's the 18. That's the add to cart event. That means as long as you implement this postback to fire whenever somebody adds a product to your shopping cart, it will work across all your offers. You don't have to set individual offer level events on every action that you would like to check. That's that part. That's the advertiser level event. So if you have a certain event that you would like to track across different offers, I would suggest to create advertiser level events. The next session is the user tab. Normally, if you would like your advertisers to log into your Everflow account, you would need to create a user under here. So let's give a name. And you can set the password manually, or you can just add a user. And then you can send password reset emails to this specific user. Then your advertiser will receive reset password information, and they can log in to see the statistics within Everflow. That's the user part. You can add as many users as you would like to. Offer obviously is that all the offers that's related to this advertiser you can see on this page. Within the advertiser session, you are also able to add offers as well. API key, if your advertiser would like to use API to pull statistics or get informations, you would create an API key for them here. And you can also upload any documentations that is related to this advertiser under documents here. And you're also able to see some of all the histories that is related to this advertiser. For example, I just added advertiser user. So you can see who has added this, who has made this change and such. So that's the advertiser session. Now let's go back to the advertiser part, and let's take a look at advertiser postback. Before we go to the postback, I just want to give you a little bit information on what is advertiser postback. So here is a very simple graph explain what is advertiser postback, right? How it works. First, you would generate a tracking link in Everflow for your partner to promote either your product or service. The partner would then implement this tracking link behind an advertisement that he would run. When a user clicks on this ad, the Everflow tracking link will be triggered and redirect to the base destination URL, which is the actual product or service. On this destination URL, there is a macro called transaction ID. This is the macro that Everflow uses to replace a unique value whenever someone clicks on the ad. So let's say in this case, it will be replaced by the value ABCDEFG. And the advertiser will then store this transaction ID that is generated by Everflow on their site. And then when the user purchases a product, in this case is defined by the advertiser as a conversion, the postback will be fired back to Everflow with the transaction ID macro being replaced with what was generated. In this case is ABCDEFG. And a conversion will be registered successfully within Everflow. So that is what the postback is doing. Basically, it stores the transaction ID that is generated by Everflow, and it fires when the conversion happens. In this case, it's a purchase, but it can also fire when an event happened. For example, add to shopping cart, right? So that is what the postback is doing. Let's go back to the overview. You can find your advertiser postback under the advertiser session, and this is the advertiser postback. How does it look like? And it's a global postback. You would implement once if you are the advertiser yourself, or you would send this postback to your different advertisers for them to implement. And here is also the instructions. The capital transaction ID will be replaced by your advertisers with the macro that they are using to store the transaction ID that is generated by Everflow. Okay, you can add additional parameters to your advertiser postback, such as amount, currency, step, or any other information that you would like to pass about this specific conversion in the ADV 1 to 5 values. So that's the advertiser postback. Besides the advertiser postback, we also have the global advertiser pixel in the general advertiser session. You have the image pixel, iframe pixel. You can see here that the structure of the pixel is exactly the same as the postback, except without transaction ID. We would recommend you to, whenever you use the pixel, you should append transaction ID to it as well, because that's the most accurate way to track. If you use direct linking tracking method, we also allowed you to implement JavaScript on the thank you page to fire the conversion, and click script on the landing page to track the clicks. So that's the postback session. Let's go over some of the other setups within advertisers. So in the advertiser session, you also have link templates. That means that you can create a template that is linked to this specific advertiser. Let's say in this example, I call it Starbucks, and assign the advertiser to Starbucks, and I create a destination URL with the macro that I would like to append every time I create a new offer for this advertiser. So when you have a link template created, the base destination URL will be filled in automatically. So you don't need to fill in that part every time that you create. So you also have the postback control. Postback control allows you to reject or approve a conversion based on certain rules, right? So let's take this one, for example. First, you give a name for your postback control, and you put the status as active. You can also set up a postback control, have an effective date. So after a certain time, the postback control will be inactive anymore. You can apply to a specific offer advertiser, or you can turn that off. It will mean apply to all offers within this advertiser. You can also apply this postback control to a specific affiliate. And the rules that you can set, in this case, the control type, we say reject. And a condition is all must apply. And the rules we add is the variable order contains test SKU. So if the postback fired from the advertiser to Everflow in the order contains this specific value, our system will reject this conversion automatically. So that's how it works, how basically what the postback control is doing. Invoice is that if you would like to, if you set up auto invoice generation, the invoice will be generated automatically based on the rules that you set. You can also create an invoice manually. So you can just add an invoice and select a certain payment period time. So I want to generate invoice for the month of July. I can select that and I just added it. Then the invoice will be generated. Tiered commissions are normally used to apply a specific payout or a revenue increase after a certain amount of, can be conversion events, gross sale or total payouts, even total revenue threshold is reached over a specific time period. You can find a how-to guide with examples through our help desk article tiered commissions. So I'm not going to go through the details of it today. And now let's look a little bit a reporting session that is related to the advertiser. The most important part I would like to cover is the advertiser postback. So sometimes you wonder why a conversion is registered on the advertiser side, but not in your Everflow. What you can do is you can run an advertiser postback report, let's say for today, and you can filter out certain advertisers, offers, and partners as well. And then you can see what are the postbacks has been fired from your advertiser to Everflow account. So those are the postbacks with a specific transaction ID, and you can see the conversion ID information, and you can see the status of this postback. It can be approved, can be rejected, or can be pending, depends on your offer setting or postback control or the specific postback that is fired. You can also see the conversion method. Is it a server postback or HTML pixel cookie based, and more information about that. Then if it's rejected, you can also view the conversion details, and you can see why this postback or this conversion has been rejected, right? So the event ID does not belong to this offer in this case. So that's the reporting session helps you to troubleshoot why some conversions that is not registered within Everflow. Okay, so that is basically most of it regarding the advertiser, general advertiser setup and postback. So some takeaways. Add an user under the advertiser account if you would like your advertiser to log in. Add advertiser level events can simplify the event postback implementation. So you only need to implement one postback for one event across all your offers for this advertiser instead of offer level events. Postback control helps you to auto reject or approve conversions based on rules. So the question here is, can you show an example how to add the transaction ID to the image or iframe pixel? Yes, I can do that. Let me just show you really quick. Normally, the image pixel you get from Everflow looks like this without the transaction ID. All you need to do is just add transaction ID equals transaction ID. And this would be the one that you would send to your advertisers for implementation. And they just need to replace the capital transaction ID with the macro that they use on their end. We have one more question, and we're a little bit running out of time, but I'm just gonna answer this question, okay? In the reporting, the reason conversion was rejected was shown as duplicate conversion. What does this mean? Can I manually approve it? So in the reporting session, if it's a I don't have it here, but let me just show you on the offer level. Duplicate conversion setting is on the offer level. So under tracking and control, you can set here, under revenue and payouts, sorry. You can set allow duplicate conversions or not allowed. In case that the offer level is set as not allowed duplicate conversions, the conversions with the same transaction ID, the second conversion or the third, with the same transaction ID will be rejected automatically. And yes, you can approve them manually. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much for your participation. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team and also to your account manager as well. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.